The storm rolled in from the west, dark clouds churning over the fields as Ethan Ramsey stood before his gate, boots caked in mud from a morning at the feed store. A neon orange padlock glared back at him, chaining shut the entrance to his own land. A laminated sign, flapping in the rising wind, read, "Access denied, HOA enforcement." Below the bold text, someone had scrawled a taunting smiley face next to the signature of Lydia Harper, HOA president. Ethan's German shepherds, Buck and Juno, barked frantically behind the gate, their confusion mirroring his own. He clenched his fists, the leather of his old flight jacket creaking. This wasn't just a lock, it was a gauntlet thrown down by a suburban tyrant. And Ethan, a retired Air Force pilot who'd faced worse than petty bureaucrats, wasn't about to back down. He let out a sharp, bitter laugh, the sound lost in the distant rumble of thunder. The audacity of it all burned hotter than the absurdity. Lydia, with her manicured nails and laminated rules, thought she could cage him on his own property? He snapped a photo of the lock, his mind already racing past bolt cutters. This called for something bigger, something that would shake her beige empire to its core. Rotors. Wind. A spectacle she'd never forget. Lydia wanted a war? She'd get one. It would come from the sky. Ethan had moved to Willow Bend 2 years ago, trading military barracks for a quiet 10-acre plot just outside town. He'd built his cabin himself, solid cedar beams, a wide porch, and a barn for his tools. It was the life he'd dreamed of during long missions in dusty war zones. Open fields, a small garden, and silence broken only by the rustle of leaves. Buck and Juno roamed freely, and Ethan spent his days fixing up an old tractor or tossing a ball for the dogs. For a while, it was perfect. Then the subby VY Shaun arrived. Willow Bend Estates sprouted up the road, a grid of identical houses with pristine lawns and matching mailboxes. With it came the HOA, a self-appointed council led by Lydia Harper, a former event planner who wielded her title like a scepter. At first, Ethan ignored the newsletters about fence heights and approved paint colors. His land wasn't part of their Domain County records, confirmed it. But Lydia had other plans. The first letter came in a mint green envelope, accusing Ethan's gravel driveway of VY Sewell discord. He chuckled, assuming it was a mistake. Then more arrived, each more ridiculous. His wind chimes were acoustically disruptive, his barn's blue paint overly assertive, his dogs barking emotionally invasive. Every letter bore Lydia's florid signature. Ethan framed the worst ones for laughs, hanging them in his workshop. But the humor faded when the complaints turned into demands for thousands in fines. Lydia was relentless. Neighbors whispered about her late-night patrols, clipboard in hand, cataloging infractions. Her HOA meetings were tribunals, her rules enforced with the zeal of a dictator. Ethan's rugged property, with its wild grasses and weathered mailbox, was a stain on her VY Shaun of suburban utopia. He confronted her once, striding into an HOA meeting in muddy jeans. The room froze as he spoke. "My land's not yours. Leave me alone." Lydia's smile was razor-thin. "We're re-VYing our boundaries," she said. "You'll be part of us soon." He should have taken her seriously. He didn't. The locked gate was the final straw. Ethan had driven to town for tractor parts, only to return to a chained entrance, a cheap security camera zip-tied to a pole, and a sign threatening trespassing penalties. Buck and Juno paced behind the gate, tails low. Ethan's first urge was to smash the lock, but he paused. This was a trap. Lydia wanted him to snap, to give her ammunition. Instead, he called the sheriff, who dismissed it as a CIVYL matter. Frustrated, Ethan headed to a diner, opened his laptop, and dug into county records. Within hours, he confirmed his land was outside the HOA's jurisdiction. Lydia's lock was illegal, her fines baseless. But Ethan didn't want a quiet VY Tory. He wanted to hit back hard. Staring at a photo on his workshop wall, him in a flight suit beside a Blackhawk in Iraq remembered the rush of rotors, the power of flight. He called an old squadron buddy, Nate Vargas, who ran a helicopter charter business in Arizona. "I need a chopper," Ethan said. "I'm landing on their lawn." Nate laughed. You're insane. I'm in. The plan came together fast. Ethan checked FAA no airspace restrictions over Willow Bend. He filed a flight notice, timing the landing for Lydia's Friday HOA meeting. They would fly in, and Ethan would make an entrance no one would forget. While waiting, Lydia escalated. New signs appeared. A no entry HOA dispute. A second camera, taped to a broomstick, wobbled in the breeze. A letter arrived, demanding due loss $6,000 in back fines for absurd violations like unauthorized floor density and excessive canine active VY tie. Drone photos of his property were included, proof Lydia was spying. Ethan didn't reply. He VY cited his lawyer, Claire Morton, a retired JAG officer with a knack for dismantling bullies. She re-VY EU'd the records and grinned. This is harassment, plain and simple. We can sue them into next year. After Friday, Ethan said, I've got something planned. Claire raised an eyebrow but drafted a cease and desist letter, holding it until Ethan gave the word. Thursday, Ethan parked his truck near the subby VY Shown, unfolded a chair, and sipped a coffee, watching the clubhouse. Lydia drove by, glaring. Board members whispered nearby. Ethan waved, knowing it infuriated them. He was baiting her, and she was biting. Friday dawned clear, the sky a perfect blue. Ethan zipped up his flight jacket, packed a speaker and Claire's injunction, and waited. At 2:45 p.m., Nate's helicopter roared over the horizon. The HOA meeting was in session, the clubhouse lawn scattered with chairs and a snack table. Nate circled low, rattling windows, then landed in a whirlwind of dust. Chairs toppled, drinks spilled, and residents screamed. Lydia burst from the clubhouse, shrieking into a phone, her pastel scarf flapping. Ethan stepped out, rotor wash tugging his jacket. He hit play on the speaker, and Born to be Wild blasted across the lawn. Striding through the chaos, he reached the clubhouse steps, where Lydia met him, face crimson. This is illegal, she yelled. You're endangering lives. Ethan handed her the injunction, watching her eyes widen as she read. He turned to the crowd. My land's not in your HOA. Never was. Everything Lydia's done locking my gate, fining me, spy-NG's illegal. It's all here. He tapped the envelope. If she's bullied any of you, speak up now. A man in a polo shirt raised his hand. She fined me for my kid's swing set. A woman added, she threatened to tow my car over a holiday wreath. Murmurs grew, voices rising. Ethan leaned toward Lydia. Lock my gate again, and I'll fly over it. With company, he walked back to the chopper, Nate grinning from the cockpit. They lifted off, Leah VYing a lawn of stunned faces and scattered debris. The fallout was swift. Videos of the landing went VY-RAL, racking up 50,000 VYUs by nightfall. Neighbors texted Ethan clapping emojis and hero memes. The Willow Bend Courier ran a story, Pilot Veteran Storms HOA in Chopper Showdown. But Lydia fought back, sending an email blast accusing Ethan of aerial trespass and claiming he'd faked the land records. Flyers warned of rogue homeowner threats. Ethan stayed focused. A neighbor, Ellen, called, her voice shaky. She revealed Lydia's private threats, hints of zoning complaints, whispers about unfit homes to scare families. Ellen had no proof, but knew others who'd talk. Ethan urged her to rally them. The turning point came when Mark, a former HOA secretary, showed up with a flash drive. He'd quit after Lydia pressured him to falsify records. The drive held emails, including one where Lydia wrote, Ethan's not in our HOA, but we can't let him win. Break him, then rewrite the boundaries. Mark had stayed silent, fearing retaliation, but the chopper stunt changed his mind. Claire filed a county complaint, attaching the emails, records, and statements from Ellen and two others. Ethan tipped off the Courier reporter, who was building a story on HOA abuses. The article hit, exposing Lydia's overreach. She vanished. Rumors said she was at a retreat in New Mexico. The HOA board, scrambling, removed the locks and signs. At an emergency meeting, a new president, a retired principal named Ruth, announced a board election. Residents shared stories. Fines for porch flowers, threats over dog toys. 3 new members were elected, none tied to Lydia. Ethan received a card signed by 30 neighbors, featuring a helicopter sketch and thanks for the flyover. He hung it beside Nate's photo of the landing, Ethan stepping out, Lydia's shocked face in the corner. Life normalized. The HOA rewrote its rules, banning fines without votes. Neighbors hosted cookouts, free from Lydia's shadow. Ethan's gate stayed open, his dogs ran free, and his wind chimes sang. One morning, an unmarked letter arrived from Lydia's sister, saying she'd moved to Idaho to reset. It wasn't an apology, but Ethan didn't need one. He'd won something bigger. At the town's fall festival, Ethan drove his tractor in the parade, Buck and Juno trotting beside him. The crowd cheered, kids while VYing paper helicopters. A woman named Doris, an early HOA member, gave him a tin of cookies. "You reminded us community isn't control," she said. That night, Ethan sat on his porch, stars overhead. The silence was back, but it was richer now, freedom earned, not just found. He'd fought with rotors and resolve, not just for himself, but for every neighbor Lydia had crushed. The war was over. The skies were his, and Willow Bend finally felt like home. If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this VY Deo with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next VY Deo.